You're not telling me something.
Whoop-de-freaking-do. Well, fine. Have it your... You want to know what my deal is? You really want me to get sappy?
Okay, this will be good.
Skin cancer.
Okay! Wasn't expecting that.
Stage 3. My prognosis was so advanced that the doc said my bones were already lost.
Oh.
So I had to do something drastic. Completely restart my biology from scratch. You ever seen someone with a severe gene splice? From something freaky, like an insect? That's where hybrid tech began, you know. Where my therapy started.
It also sounds like where transgender health started. In some pretty shady back alley shit. Mind you, it did start back in the 1900s. In like the 1920s, I think. And we've come a hell of a long way since then. But, damn.
You can't imagine what it's like to have children cry from just looking at you. When people just see you and sprint the other direction.
Not anymore, because the world has gotten a lot more inclusive, but I get
I
your
had
point.
police following me everywhere I went. I lost my apartment. I lost my dignity.
I'm glad I live in Australia. I don't have to deal with this shit for being trans. People in the US don't get that luxury and actually do suffer this kind of bullshit. That's why a day like today exists. Now we've got 20 minutes. Let's go through this. So, today is March 17th. So March 17th is IDAHOBIT Day. What started as Idaho Day back in 2004, I think? Might be 2002. Let me Google this. Ah, there it is. International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. So basically, it started as established as the Idaho Committee. It started. Okay, so the day as a concept was conceived in 2004. Basically, with it culminating actually starting in 2005 with 24,000 people, including organizations that rocked up. Basically, Idaho stands for International Day Against Homophobia, because the HO part, HO, stands for homophobia. Right? Since then, in 2009, we added transphobia. In 2015, yes, biphobia was added to the list. The acronym has been swapped up a bit to make it what is now IDAHOBIT Day. So it's basically gone from Idaho to Idahot to IDAHOBIT. Because Ho is homophobia, biphobia, and then T for transphobia. So, with that character that we're talking to now, she's afraid of having to deal with the shit that some trans people have to deal with now. And I'm not talking, like, in Australia, we have it fairly well off. I don't have to worry about that because we have laws against being discriminated against. That is not the case everywhere. Transphobia is the one that's on my mind because it's personal to me. But if we look at transphobia internationally, we see cases like Hungary, where it's basically becoming illegal to be transgender. It wasn't, but the country is currently fighting a war against trans people. All done during the COVID-19 lockdown, so that there's nothing we can do to stop it. Even if the trans people of Hungary want to fight it, they have nothing that they can fight with. They can't protest because protesting is against the law at the moment because it's too many people in a too tight a space, social distancing and all that, right? In the US, state by state, there are laws coming into effect that affect transgender people. including bathroom bills, where you have to rock up into a bathroom, you have to use the bathroom of the gender that you were born as. Now, there's a very good example for why the bathroom bills don't work. There's a really good photo of a guy, and he's a trans guy. Bathroom bill. So it's a current issue in the US, right? Where states have a hit and miss. There are certain states like Colorado. Not Colorado. That's a... Basically, I can't find the guy, but there was a guy who basically, if he had to walk into a women's restroom because he was born female, he was legally supposed to be there, but he was going to be stopped for being there. He has a beard. He looks like a guy. And that's the problem. Trans people across the world have to fight to be allowed to do basic shit. Like go to the toilet. And that's why days like IDAHOBIT Day make a difference. Same-sex marriage is largely legal the world over. Largely. It's not legal everywhere, as the Equal Dex explains. Basically, the Equal Dex, which is kind of out of date, but also kind of accurate, is a map that shows where... Yeah, okay, close. Where homosexuality is legal and not. It shows Russia as it being legal, but good luck. It shows Poland as being legal, but again, good luck. It does, because Poland is an interesting case, right? Foreign same-sex marriages are the only ones that are recognized. Why? Poland is an interesting country where they were declaring LGBT plus free zones, where there's nobody in the area is LGBT, not at all. Everyone's just hiding because the law is against them. If you got beaten up on the street for being gay, the law would look the other way. That's why IDAHOBIT and stuff like that exist, because it's days that show that kind of bullshit is not okay. We can't let people get treated poorly just for being gay, for being transgender, or anything like that. Because it doesn't make any sense. Homosexuality in the military is a topic here, which is interesting because it's China. Don't ask. Some of them are don't ask, don't tell. Others, but China, it's illegal to be in the military. Conversion therapy. Actually, that's the one I want. Changing gender. Conversion therapy isn't banned the world over. It's ambiguous in Australia because it's state by state. Victoria, the state that I live in, it's banned statewide because the Premier has done something about it and said, no, you can't do this. It doesn't work. But people across the world disagree with that statement and say, we're just going to let that happen. We're gonna let people try conversion therapy, and it ruins people's lives. Changing gender as a topic. So many places are legal, but surgery is required. States in my own country have that problem. My state of Victoria only just changed that law at the start of this month to say that I don't need to go through surgery to change my gender on my birth certificate. That kind of surgery costs $16,000 to $20,000 out of pocket that I don't have. So for me to change my birth certificate before the 1st of May this year was impossible for me because I don't have $20,000. On top of needing $20,000, you need private health insurance. And private health insurance doesn't cover shit. Well, it's probably $16,000 because they might cover you for $4,000 for your hospital stay, but they don't cover everything. But like New South Wales, the state one to the north of me, still has that requirement. If you're born female, it's more expensive again. Although, I don't know whether top surgery would count. I don't think so. So yeah, it's also made weird because I have... I'm going to search for the country of Malawi. Malawi is the country where I have a sponsor child. Changing gender is ambiguous. I may not be allowed to go and ever visit my sponsor child because they live in a country where being transgender isn't necessarily legal. So... IDAHOBIT Day means International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, and Transphobia. And for those that live with those concerns looming over their head every day, it's a worrying thought. I'm lucky to live in Victoria, in Australia, where most everyone that I've never had, I've had one bad experience. I had someone swing a shot into my groin during that bad experience. That's why it's being treated by the police as a sexual offence. But the police aren't doing anything on it either. And not like I truly care on the matter. It was just some woman that decided that she wanted to get in my face instead of someone else's, and gender, and me being trans was the vector that she used to attack me on. It's still an assault charge, and that's what I want it to be. Because she's still an asshole. Actually, I might chase that up tomorrow. But we've got the world over that not everyone is safe. If you live in the Middle East and you're gay or trans, good luck. Because the country is against you. And it hurts me to say that. Even though there are countries that celebrate IDAHOBIT Day that aren't accepting to people that are gay or people that are trans. It's really weird. First LGBT events ever to take place in the Congo, China, and Bulgaria. Basically, what started Idaho Day was actually on May 17th in 1990. The World Health Organization took homosexuality out as a mental disorder. The World Health Organization declassified being transgender or gender dysphoria, I think. It is no longer classed as a gender... I fucked up. Gender identity disorder, right? was used until 2013 with the release of the DSM-5. The condition was renamed to remove the stigma with the term disorder. That being said, classification as a disorder. The DSM-5, it was only removed more recently by the World Health Organization. And I'm talking in the last, 2 years? So we've still got a long way to go. But it's days like this that mean the world to me. Because it shows that people care. Through IDAHOBIT Day, I found out that my local council has an LGBT event that runs later in the year. I didn't know about this until now, because they liked a comment that I made because my council shared something about IDAHOBIT Day. My council is great. I love my council because they advertised IDAHOBIT Day. There are a couple of people that turned around and said, "We don't care. Why are you putting money towards something that most of the people here don't agree with?" But that was the funny thing. Back in 2016, Australia voted on same-sex marriage. We had to vote in a plebiscite that was ill-advised. It was a bad thing to do because we knew what the result was going to be. It was a resounding yes. Let them marry. And yet we went through with the plebiscite anyway, which included horrible things being said for people that were gay. And because being transgender is lumped into the LGBT universe, I assume it was the same there. I didn't come out until last year. I started hormones in May of last year. May 27th. So about a week and a half from now, I started hormones. And just the entire thing there's so much to unpack with being transgender or being gay, but people don't understand it. Hell, I'm dating a woman. Does that make me a lesbian? I don't know. I don't really. Because when it comes to being transgender, trying to lump a label like being a lesbian on that is confusing. I know some people will label it as that. I honestly don't know. And since I know you're watching, hi. But it's days like this that show me that the world is moving in a better place, moving towards a better place. That the council post about IDAHOBIT Day included 2 people that basically said this is bad. And everybody else turned around and went, you don't get to say, the argument was, I'm a ratepayer. Don't use my money to fund an event that I don't care about. At which point, someone else turned around and said, I'm also a ratepayer. You don't speak on my behalf, and I want that money spent. Even though there is no money spent, it was a Facebook post, no one cares. Particularly with the lockdown, we can't do anything for it. There's no Pride next month. Or Pride is being done online. And the company I work for is doing Pride online next month. It's going to be a very weird thing to see. I've never actually been able to experience Pride because I wasn't out until August last year. August, September, and then changed my name back in October, legally. And it was just, dealing with all of that is difficult. We have so far to come. But we've come so far too. Basically, one of the things that really kicks this off, particularly for being transgender, is back in the 1930s. During Hitler's rise to power, there was an incident that took place. It was one of the book burnings. Book burnings in Nazi Germany. The Nazi book burnings included a place Magnus Hirschfeld's Institute of Sex Research. That was one of the places that had the original, like a lot of the early transgender research, which we lost during those book burnings. We lost so much history in that. We've come so far since that can't happen again. At least not in a Western country. Thanks to the internet and thanks to so many other things, we can't go through that again. We can't lose all of that again. But countries are still putting up a fight against people that are gay, people that are bi, people that are trans. Now, the US is currently fighting that in several states with bathroom bills and a whole bunch of other laws that are deliberately there to make someone who's transgender lives harder. Particularly transgender. Most people that are gay have the right to marry, have legal rights there. But people that are trans, we don't have those yet. In the US, it's a struggle to be in the military and transgender. Now, because the current president tried to make that a thing. He blindsided his own Pentagon, his own generals, who turned around and said, "This is dumb, we don't want this," when he made that ruling. So much. We've come so far since the 90s. Got a long way to go yet. Now, what we're going to do quickly is we're going to finish this conversation, we're going to save it, and then we're going to end the stream. And I am going to highlight all of this strip of my conversation here, and we'll go, and that will be posted to YouTube as well after we're done.